Captain's Log, November 3rd, 2015. So yesterday we got word from CBS that we are finally getting new Star Trek in 2017, a new Star Trek series, and I was inundated yesterday with messages from folks asking me to do a video on this. Got a lot of links from people, and I've seen articles, of course, about this kind of thing before where it's like, there might be a new Star Trek series in development, and I'm always really skeptical, and then I looked at the link at StarTrek.com. Oh boy, this might actually be happening, and indeed it turned out to be an official press release from CBS saying that in 2017 they've got Kurtzman as producer making this new Star Trek series, and I was like, okay, so it's definitely happening this time. Crazy. And I thought about going ahead and right away making a video about it, but I decided to hold off, talk about it with Vince, talk about it on the radio show, and post an excerpt from the radio show as I usually do for news stuff. And today I decided to do even a separate video, which this would have been the way I would have done it yesterday, but I'm glad I didn't go ahead and jump right in and throw something out, because the reason I decided to do a separate video is because I'm a little bit unsure about the facts. The way the article reads is a little bit confusing about distribution, and I didn't want to just post what I said on the radio show, because now I'm not real sure if I'm right about some things, and frankly, I complained a lot about what I thought was going on, because if it's what's really happening, it's ridiculous and obnoxious, but I'm not sure that that's really what's happening, so I'll go ahead and talk about all that and cover it here. Before we get to the distribution stuff with CBS All Access and all that craziness, I want to just talk about Kurtzman and what the show might be. So on the... This is a good news, bad news situation for me. On the negative side, of course, Alex Kurtzman, not a big fan of Kurtzman and Royce's writing overall. I was really worried originally when it looked like Orci might be directing the new Star Trek movie. Now we've got his other half, who co-wrote 09 and Darkness, doing this show. That doesn't excite me at all, and a lot of people are saying, oh, it's Kurtzman, so it's definitely going to be Abrams-verse. We don't really know, and that's what makes this difficult to talk about, is that we have no information at all right now, besides who is the producer. The article is so cryptic. It's a very strangely worded thing, because you get to the end of it and it says this will not be related to Star Trek Beyond, and you've got to know when you write that Trek fans are going to analyze the crap out of that, trying to figure out what in the world it means, because not related, so is it, are we rebooting again? Are we going back to prime continuity? What does that mean? Does it just mean that it's not related to that story or those characters? I mean, nobody expected that we'd be able to take that cast and put them on TV. Chris Pine is kind of an A-list actor now. I mean, like, that's not pretty close. That's not going to happen. So Zoe Saldana, you're not going to get her to do a weekly television series. So that surprises no one. So what is it? Are we taking like a new ship that's in the 23rd century? Are we going 100 years ahead? Are we going to do Star Trek: The Next Generation? The rebooted version, the new Trek version of TNG? Like, what is it? And it's fine with me to not know. This is the positive side of this. Is it's kind of fun venturing into the unknown frontier of Star Trek again, having no idea. This reminds me a lot of what things were like before Enterprise was announced, when we knew there was a new Star Trek series, but there was no telling what it was, and everybody was speculating, and there were all kinds of ideas about what the premise might be, and so it's kind of fun to be in that place again, just trying to guess. I mean, that's really neat. I'd love to at least know whether or not it's the new Trek verse, and I am open-minded. If it is that, and we've got good writers, even though Kurtzman's producing the thing, if we have it, just the fact that it's gonna be episodic Star Trek again gives me hope for it, no matter what it is, because we could get some really good science fiction stories told in there, even if I don't like things about it overall. And frankly, I got really used to bad Star Trek, like a lot of Voyager, not great, Enterprise, not great. Like just having Star Trek again on TV at all is going to be very exciting for me. So I don't want to complain about that yet. I certainly am skeptical about Kurtzman as producer. But beyond that, just, okay, cool, we're getting new Star Trek in 2017. I would love to know the story as to why it took this long. For the longest time, it sounded like Paramount had no interest in putting Star Trek back on TV. There was this weird thing between CBS and Paramount, where even though they're kind of connected companies, you had, Star Trek in the movies, and they couldn't put it on television. It makes me kind of wonder if this means that they don't really have plans to go forward past Beyond, but you'd think they'd wait to see what the numbers are for that. So I have no idea, and I feel like I'm kind of just spinning my wheels and don't even know what I'm talking about, because there's not a lot of information about what exactly is the relationship there and why. So, I mean, if anybody knows more than I do, I'd love you to help me out in the comments, because I don't know if finally we've been able to make this happen. I don't know why it didn't happen before now. I certainly, because like J.J. Abrams said back in 2009 that he really wanted to put a Star Trek series on television, and CBS and Paramount wouldn't let him. So I'd love to know what the story is behind that, and I'd love to know why it's taken so long to where they weren't able to put, or they didn't want to, who knows, put out a series to at least to at least coincide with the 50th anniversary. It's so weird. Again, this press release mentions that, and it's like, next year is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, and we're putting this thing out the year after. It's so weird. Wouldn't you want like a Star Trek Beyond in the summer and then put that in the fall? Like, that would have been perfect. So like, what happened? Why did it take this long? It doesn't feel like Paramount has a passion for this franchise. I've said this for the longest time. They don't treat it like, say, I mean, this is even an unfair comparison, but they don't treat it like, say Disney treats Star Wars. It seems like it's maybe just, and this is where I want to be careful and I get myself into trouble because I don't really know what's going on. This is where it feels to me like they might be looking at Star Trek as just kind of a means to an end. And I get it, it's a business, of course they're trying to make money, but if the way I initially read this this thing is so weirdly worded, the way I originally read this press release, I thought that they were putting out this new Star Trek show just to try to get people to buy their streaming service, to pay for that for $6 a month. It's this thing called CBS All Access. It's been around for a few months now, and I suspect hardly anybody uses it because it's $6 a month, and you're basically paying for a single cable channel. Yes, you get a bunch of shows that CBS owns going years back, but but it's just CBS's content. They boast 7,500 episodes. Wow, I mean, like, it's when you look at what you get on Netflix for $8 a month, when you look at what you get on Hulu and what you get on Amazon, it's just really silly that they think that they can get people to pay for a streaming service just for their content, and that's why they're not linked up with Hulu. That's why you have to watch Supergirl on their website. I learned finally why all that was, because I was confused by that last week. I was like, why isn't CBS just linked up with Hulu? Oh, because they have their own streaming service, and they think that they can get you to add yet another streaming service onto whatever else you might be paying for already to do that. And it feels like a weird thing to complain about. Like we take these kinds of things for granted, where it is amazing that we live in a world where you can pay for a streaming service and have access to all this content, but there are already too many of them, and it's getting oversaturated, and it's getting to a point where, I mean, people obviously have to pick and choose, and to think that that people would pay like, almost as much as they are for Netflix for just one channel is I think crazy. So anyway, the deal is, the way this is worded, like I said, is strange, because it says that they're going to have a special broadcast premiere, and then all of the subsequent first-run episodes will be put on CBS All Access. And me and a lot of other people assumed that meant that they were going to air a pilot, and then all the rest of it was going to go on All Access. But then the term first run confuses me. So does that mean that, because first run makes me kind of question, okay, well, maybe that actually means that they're going to air each of them, but they're just trying to make a big deal out of this all-access thing, so they put that in the first paragraph of their article, trying to get people to buy it. And then they mentioned it again later in the article, so like the whole thing feels like it's all about this all-access thing. But then, but then why is it worded like that? So maybe it is gonna all air on NBC. I don't know. I guess we'll find out moving forward. But a lot of people are complaining and worried that they're gonna have to pay $6 a month to watch one show. And that's not fair, and I understand Star Trek fans that feel like they're not being treated right. Where it's like, okay, we'll finally give you your TV show, but you got to pay $6 a month. I was reading comments on StarTrek.com, and one person was like, Star Trek fans or Star Wars fans don't get treated like this. So anyway, I want to be kind of cautious about this because I don't think there's any way to know right now, just the way that's worded. It might all actually air on NBC, and if it does, then that's fine, but who cares about this all-access thing? I mean, all that would mean, if that's the case, that's why it's so weird that they even said it. If that's the case, and all it is they put up each episode weekly one time, and then they put it on all-access, it means that for whatever reason, they've decided that that show is the one show they air, unless they do more later, that you can't watch the day after on their website for free. Because right now it looks like there are other stuff you can, or at least Supergirl. That's the only thing I watch on CBS. You can. Okay, but then the problem is they and the reason I'm questioning is because somebody in the comments of that article said, well, nobody's reading it right. Here's what it really says, and they thought that it meant that they were all going to air because of that first run thing. Okay, but then it says that this is the first show that's made exclusively for that platform. So I'm confused. Like, if that's the case, it's not exclusive. It's being aired on television first and then going to that. Anyway, I hate that I'm having to talk primarily about distribution, but if that ends up being the case, I know a lot of people that love Star Trek that aren't going to be able to watch it while it's on. They're going to have to wait until it comes out some other way. And if the only way folks end up being able to watch it is either get CBS All Access, where you're paying for one show, or buy the box sets, I know folks that just aren't even going to get to see it. Like, will it go to Netflix? If they're making such a big deal out of this all-access thing and they want to try to get people to pay for it, I imagine it wouldn't. It makes me even wonder if they might try to make all of Star Trek exclusive to it and try to make it the thing that you have to pay for it if you want to watch Star Trek. I hope they don't do that. I don't want to jump the gun and assume that's what it is. But that whole thing is really strange to me, and it just seems really wrong, honestly. Like we're gonna make a new TV show and try to get you just to get you to pay for this streaming service. I hope that's not what they're doing, and even if that's what it is right now, I feel like there'll be enough backlash that they'll change their minds about it later. 2017, there's plenty of time for that thing to completely flop, for the all access thing to completely flop, because I don't see how that thing is viable anyway. But that's all I really wanted to say about it. Yes, I'm stoked that we're gonna get new Star Trek finally. I kind of wasn't sure when it would ever happen because of all the talk about CBS and Paramount not being able to, work together to make it happen. So I'm glad we're finally getting something. It'll be exciting to hear more things about it down the road. We don't really know anything except for that bizarre distribution thing, which now I feel like I don't really understand anyway, so whatever. Anyway, that's all I had to say about it. Thanks a lot for watching. Sure appreciate it, and I'll see you again on lots more videos coming your way. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think about the announcement of this new Star Trek series, and I will bring you some more discussion about it as we learn more things. Thanks again for watching. I'm Captain Logan. Bye.